Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. And of course, good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, now West Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, where our 100,000 watt signals from our transmitter gets to you via the beautiful airwaves of the United States of America. Good morning to the entire world, where the magical tentacles of the internet gets to you. Of course, we have listeners all over. How are my peeps doing this morning? I trust everyone's doing very, very well. Well, before we get started, let's go ahead and do what we do every morning and to visit with the geniuses, Los Genios, in the studio at Caroline. Good morning, geniuses.
I love it. The heinous geniuses here in the control room, in charge of the tin cans and string of the 100,000 watt transmitter in Houston, Texas, reaching all the way to Louisiana and beyond. And good morning to Burlington, New York. Why the heck not? Oh, things are going well here. Had to take a little emergency trip out to the transmitter yesterday. Last night, as a matter of fact, 9:30. I'm in the car going to the transmitter. That lightning storm that came over knocked us off the air. It took forever to get the electricity back on. And once we did, I couldn't get the servers to behave properly. So I had to go out there and have a little chat with them. And now they're behaving properly.
He pulled a gun on them.
That's right. It was.
Oh, man. You must be in Texas.
Well, yes, exactly. I'm also embarking upon another adventure here pretty soon. I'm reading and trying to understand the manifesto of Project 2025. I've gotten past all the credits and et cetera, and getting into the meat of things, and I'm already having trouble with some of the timelines that they're talking about. So, I mean, I happen to remember history, and some of the things and times and dates that they're talking about, I don't know that that's true. So Project 2025 is going to get a fact check from me, and I'll give a report back in a couple of months after I finish reading 900 pages of it.
That's what I was going to say. I'm so amazed that you're going to read the 900 pages. That's great.
Well, you got to. I was having an argument with one of the guys I work with over at K News KQ. We're having this Facebook argument about what's going on over in the Palestinian country that is seemingly to be no longer pretty soon. So we're having an argument about that. And I said, well, you haven't addressed my other point, Project 2025. And he goes, well, I don't really know anything about it. I said, well, let's find out. So we're finding out what's going on with Project 2025. And so far, it's, I'm not sure about this. It's supposed to be a manifesto handed to the next conservative president as a guideline, quote unquote, to how to run the government and how to run society.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know about this.
Bunch of essays from a bunch of think tank guys from the Heritage Foundation and other places. Oh, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, I'm going to embark upon this adventure. I don't know how far I'll get into it, but we'll see, because my life is pretty busy taking care of KPFT.
Amen.
Jack, you have a page of wisdom over there that I can see from here.
Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, Jack. Talk to me.
I was this out. I didn't quite get it done, so I'll go with what I got. It's about Trump's rhetoric. Trump's rhetoric increasingly sounds more and more like 1933 Nazi Germany and the rise of Adolf Hitler and his Third Reich. He is softening up the citizens to accept fascism as the norm. America, since the end of World War II, has been steadily moving towards fascism. Truth is, the economy of neoliberalism made the corporate industrialists so wealthy they decided to expand their territory throughout Europe. Like Hitler, who seduced throughout Europe, but they needed a madman like Hitler. who seduced the people with iron-fisted authoritarianism. Now, what is Donald Trump offering us?
Oh,
What is
well,
he saying he's going to do? He
he's.
wants to be an
Unified
authoritarian
Reich.
president.
Mhm.
So we've already had one model for this, and we're looking at the next. And what happened to Germany was not. But the only thing that's really weird is fascism seemed to has implanted itself in the American psyche after World War II. And I believe that the industrialists here, the morbidly wealthy industrialists, are just setting us up. You
Well,
know,
Well,
they're doing the same thing, and it will end the same way.
if you want to remember, Jack, World War II ended up with Berlin and Germany in complete ruin, and all of those businesses that supported Hitler and such, they ended up in ruin too.
Yep.
So businesses do beware. The politician you buy today will bite you tomorrow.
Oh man, that's great.
Well, I've said it
I
before
love
and I'll
that.
say it. But anyway, we're taking away Egberto's show here. We've carved out
We're
a
setting him up.
we've carved out a slice of 7 minutes almost, and we haven't even gotten to our general manager, Sandy Wyman, who is on the line with us right now. Sandy, what you got, man?
Well, what I got is this is Wednesday, tomorrow is Thursday. You talk about genius. And then Thursday is the last day of Fund Drive. That makes this the penultimate day of Fund Drive. We really have to do well today, listeners. If you haven't made a pledge, this would be a great time to do it. We lost a whole freaking half a day yesterday due to no power at the transmitter, as Howard just described. And Howard, thank you for even extending your day to get those servers running. And yeah, he did pull a gun. I had him on video, a soldering gun, and he got it all running. But folks, if you haven't made a pledge, come on. This is it. Today and tomorrow, we are $30,000 away from our goal. I was hoping to tell you that we were more like 25,000 away this morning, but that power outage really got us yesterday, and we've got ground to make up. If there's a sprint to the finish, it begins now. 713-526-5738 or kpft.org and click donate. Be as generous as you can. Help us close the gap between the $119,665 figure that we have and the $150,000 that we aspirationally would like to get, as that would ensure paying all the bills. A big thanks to Gary and Gia L. Apparently from, well, it says Cyprus, but there's a note here, maybe Hawaii. They said that, well, we've been doing a great job for the last 25 years, probably for the last 54 years, but maybe they didn't start listening to them. And they say, aloha from Hawaii. 713-526-5738 or kpft.org. Click donate. Be the first on this program to get us going off the zero marker, the schneid, and help us on our way to a good day today and enough money to pay them bills. Egberto, back to you.
Thank you, Sandy. Thanks, guys. Look,
Clear, Sandy.
well, yeah. Listen, guys, let me tell you. You did it again, my brother, but I think it fits in perfectly with a subject that I wanted to cover yesterday that we ran out of time from covering, and also tied into what I'm covering today. The title of the show today is Minnesota Governor claims we are an island of decency, meaning Minnesota in the Midwest. Bipartisan support for small farmers, Trump's Unified Reich. But yesterday I covered or I wanted to cover how the media was giving Donald Trump a pass. What we'll do is we'll tie how the media is giving Donald Trump a pass, as well as Trump Unified Reich, which is part of what Jack just covered there. That's where we'll start. But before we get started, and this is an important subject, and I hope all my MAGA brothers and sisters also listen keenly, because it's important. I had a friend discussing Trump and some other things over the Labor Day weekend. Very nice person. But what I found is, yes, we're living in very, very different worlds. And each side thinks they're right. And when each side thinks that they're right, it is best to sit down and not talk in rhetoric and platitudes and sit down and do things one item at a time. One item, one policy at a time, one value at a time, and then see what one believes, the other believes, and how the people and persons that they support actually get it done. And if one has civil conversations on that, I don't expect anybody to come out and say, I've seen the light. But I expect that at least those seeds would be planted if that is allowed to occur. The reasons you see screaming matches on Fox News or MSNBC with two sides just screaming at each other is there really is no, their business model is the conflict. And when your business model is the conflict, the lack thereof means less money for you, less eyeballs for you. One of the things that Moonves said, I think the CBS leader, is that Trump was the best thing for the media. And why? For his station. Why? Because it had eyeballs with people wanting to see the next piece of the war. One of the reasons the media covers Trump the way they do is because they understand that as long as you can ride the Trump horse, you don't need to like the guy. But the guy does such weird things that personally, let me tell you guys, I used to like. I don't watch all these Jerry Springer and all that kind of stuff, right? In the days of Jerry Springer and all these reality TV things. But I tell you one thing, I like to believe that I read a lot. I'm a serious guy, etc. But when I turn on Jerry Springer, the things are so out of whack in the Jerry Springer days. The things that are so out of whack is that it attracts you to keep watching. Many times you're saying, I don't believe that. I don't, oh, really? What's going to happen next? It's a weird thing instinctively that happens. Same thing. I tried to listen into Rush Limbaugh in the Rush Limbaugh days for a week, and suddenly the mindset temporarily changed. And that is what these folks understand. And that is the kinds of things that we have to fight with what's going on here. So we're going to discuss that. But before we get started, I want to piggyback back on Sandy. Folks, Sandy said 30,000 is $30,335. So let's overperform. Let's overperform this morning and this afternoon. And let's really pull in that $30,365. Let's do it. Again, it's not wasted money. It is actually money so that you can get what we're doing here. Not only with the coverage that we have with Politics Done Right, You Talk, and the other talk programs, but the great music programs that we give that you can't get anywhere because commercially they won't pay. I mean, rather, I should say, the people who pay to play on these major stations are the ones who decide who are going to be the winners in music, the winners in otherwise, no matter how good music is or otherwise. So let's do it, brothers and sisters. Politics Done Right is at a big zero right now, and I'd love for you to call 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713. I'm going to be pitching for another minute and a half, so you have the time to call now without missing any of the program that we're going to talk about. Actually, I'm going to wait 2 minutes so that you can call now. Please call now or go to kpft.org and support us in whatever manner you can. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. we're trying to get sustainers $5 a month, $10 a month, $15 a month, $20 a month, $25 a month, and you get a brick, 4x8 brick with whatever insignia wordage you want on it that can fit and that is decent, or an 8x8 brick, whatever insignia you want, is a $50 a month contribution. Folks, we are doing whatever it takes to keep this station alive. $250 for coffee with Egberto, and with the addition of brother Neil Aquino, who will be with us tomorrow. Again, folks, the number is 713-526-5738, extension number 1. I think sometimes people, because they don't want to miss the show, wait till the end to start calling in. I want to pause here and pitch a bit to let you know you're not losing any of the show if you call in now and donate whatever you can. So please do it right now. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Please give whatever you can, either one-time contribution, or you can go ahead and say, I want to be a sustainer. I want to give you guys a coffee a month, 2 coffees a month, 3 coffees a month, etc. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to Johnny before I start, since Johnny is the first caller and called in. But folks, please give us a call now, or go to kpft.org, hit donate, select Politics Done Right as a show you're supporting, and give whatever you can. Please, I urge you to do it now. Let us get to that $30,365. Johnny, good morning, my dear brother from another mother, and the Dean and Mayor of Politics Done Right.
And until yesterday or the day before, I was about to refer to myself as the static man. But this morning, it looks like I can't use that now.
Why not?
Because I confirmed with Magic Jack when I called him. I said, hey, Magic, can you hear any static? And he said,
no static, Johnny. Talk to me.
And when you click to my line, I heard that, finally. But I'm hearing no static on my end. Here's the last question. Can you hear me okay?
I'm hearing you perfectly, Johnny.
Okay, so things are looking up. So there's one element that you've neglected to mention just before, and it's not just that the mass media in Manhattan is used to giving us confection and puffery and puff pastry. They don't believe in broccoli. They don't believe in meat and potatoes and vegetables. No. They just want to give us the dessert, if you will. And that gives everybody emotional and intellectual diabetes. But there's another piece to this. It's not just because they've become lazy and because it takes work to do actual journalism. Oh, no. There's another piece, too. And that's because Bernie decided to run for office twice in a row. And we can't have no populists, economic populists in the White House. Oh, no. You know what we'll do? We'll prop up that phony baloney one, that lifelong con man and career criminal from Manhattan, Donald J. Trump. He can talk smack. He can talk like Bernie to get people's attention, and we'll focus on him. And that's exactly what they did. And they got away with it because they've been dumbing people down for so damn long. So there's that.
Thank you, my brother. As usual, food for thought. And I must say, I agree. Absolutely so. Thank you, brother. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Folks, I was hoping that you would take my cue, my brothers and sisters, and call in now so that I can get on with the program. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. We're still at 0. And as we got to raise $30,000 in 2 days, we're at 0. Please give us a call, 713-526-5738. 5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org, click that donate button, scroll down from the drop down box to Politics Done Right as the program you're selecting, and then give whatever you can. By the way, I forgot to tell you our Politics Done Right T-shirt with the KPFT logo is I think a contribution of $120. $5 a month give you a great sustainer that is going to be matched by some great folks, including some of the LSB here at KPFT, an extra $58. So please consider becoming a sustainer now. That would be kpft.org and the donate button or 713-526-5738. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the media still doesn't grasp the danger of Donald Trump. Look, there was a great article that I was going to cover yesterday, and Jack kind of brought it in for me to start covering today. The media still doesn't grasp the danger of Donald Trump. Goes as follows, and it's in the Intercept. You can find the link in yesterday's newsletter at politicsandright.com/newsletter. Donald Trump represents an existential threat to democracy in the United States. If he's elected president, he will try to become a dictator. That warning must be repeated over and over again so Americans don't forget it in November. But that's not the daily news that you will read in the American press today. Instead, it's mostly covered of polls favorable to Trump and cute scene-setting stories about the carnival-like atmosphere at his crazed rallies where his massive cult following is on display. That daily coverage ignores the five-alarm fire burning up the 2024 election. The mainstream political press is effectively ignoring the coming national apocalypse. How can that be? How can they once screw up covering Trump again? After all, Trump isn't hiding his lust for dictatorial power. He admits it publicly in December when his Fox News lackey Sean Hannity gave him an opportunity. Sean was trying to help him out to dispel fears that he wanted dictatorial power. Trump instead offered a rare truth. Under no circumstances you are promising America tonight you would never abuse power as retribution against anybody, Hannity asked. Except for day one, Trump replied. In other words, except for day one, he said he will be a dictator on day one. But day two, not? Okay. Trump is planning a second term that is nothing more than a revenge tour. Deploy the Insurrection Act to crush dissent, turn the Justice Department into a personal weapon to imprison government officials who previously investigated or prosecuted him, persecute former aides who turned against him, pardon himself and his lieutenants, and loot the government to enrich himself and his flailing businesses. In case anybody has missed his autocratic plans, Trump promoted a video this week about the creation of a Unified Reich if he's elected. Who even puts that out in the public? Well, I have a piece I did on the Unified Reich that what I want to do is play it later on if we get the time. Even this social media call out to Hitler generated a generally tepid response from the press. It's amazing. Had a Biden, had an Obama made inferences to or references to Hitler, or made references to Mussolini, or made references to Che Guevara, or any one of these guys, the media would be on it. But with Trump, they put it out there, and crickets. It's amazing. Trump is a fascist, but the mainstream political press doesn't want to say it. They want to act like 2024 is just another election year. With their obsession with horse race coverage, political reporters tend to judge what Trump says or does by whether his words and actions will help him politically. But doing so, the press is saying that Trump's racism, corruption, criminality, and insane abuses of power matter only so far as his electability. There are exceptions. Major news organizations, including the New York Times and the Washington Post, have done some important stories about Trump's dictatorial plans for a second term. We even have now Brother Howard, who is reading, which I started to read. I probably need to finish Project 2025. I mean, this is not being done behind closed doors. This is, I'm pausing from the actual coverage of the article because I want to point out something. What Trump does is he is able to normalize bad behavior. He is able to normalize that acrid harming of another human being. Remember while he was running, hecklers, he would say, like, knock them across the head, beat up on them. I will pay to get you out of jail. Those were the kinds of rhetoric he was given constantly. For those who may say, well, I've heard Hillary Clinton say things or Barack Obama say things. I mean, let's assume that some of that is true. The constancy of Donald Trump activating his base, the folks that really trust his words, into harming others physically, financially, mentally. Remember in Virginia when we had people walking through the streets, Jews will not replace us. Jews will not replace us. And Trump said in his rhetoric, there were bad people on both sides. False equivalence is not a good thing. False equivalence is where you try to equate the bad thing person X does with the bad thing person Y does. I mean, they could have both done bad things, but one bad thing could actually be fatal, while the other one is just a bad thing. And the bad things that Trump and his minions do is fatal. We look at the policies they support. It's fatal. Right now, we have the government in Texas that is stopping the execution of the Medicare Advantage, or rather the not Medicare Advantage, but the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. It costs the state 10% to serve the people who need that support. The federal government pays 90%, and guess what? We are all Texans are all already throwing our money into the pot that Greg Abbott and his insane, criminally inclined folks, and I don't say that in jest, because I personally consider, not given what others have earned, what can save people's lives, if you produce policies that inherently cause their death, I call that murder. So when I refer to those guys in Austin who are preventing the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act to come to fruition, I am not lightly saying they are murderers. I am saying literally they are murderers. And all of this ties in together. Policy matters. When these guys cause hospitals in rural America to close, for my farm brothers and sisters to close, when that occurs, my brothers, and that's why I tell Democrats forcefully, progressives forcefully, get your butts into Timbuktu, Texas, and Timbuktu, Appalachia, because your values are those people's values. They are being conned. And you, Democrats and progressives, are complicit by not engaging those people. You have created a vacuum that is filled up with misinformation, lies, conspiracy theories, ridiculous things that becomes plausible because you are not there. In my work that I'm doing, both on air, in blogs, in books, and in the conference space and organizations. What we believe in is speaking to everybody and making sure everybody knows that they're valuable and everybody knows that we are not going to support anyone who supports their harm. We have a party and a half. Notice what I'm saying. We have a party and a half that is not out to make things better for all. There's no difference between, and I'm talking outcomes now, between neoliberalism and what's occurring on the right. And it is something that has to be mitigated. And it starts with you, the people that are listening in to the voices, to our voices right here. We must be here if we are going to make a difference in this country and get to everybody, not just my progressive brothers and sisters. And let me tell you, grassroots work. Molly Cook defeated the machine by a hair to be SD 15 state senator, replacing Whitmire, who's now the mayor of Houston. Grassroots work, progressive values work. And the reason why is everybody who is exposed to the reality, everybody who is treated with respect and pointing that out, it works and we win because we support humanity and people. Folks, we don't have any support yet. Please give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Support the program. Support what we do. Let's support what we've got to do. We have got to do. I mean, we don't need to be fearful. We don't need to be in despair about who's going to win the election. If we support that which supports us, if we support the voices that are out there, making sure that the message goes out there, that the nurturing that's needed out there is done, we can do it, but we got to step up. And I am serious as a heart attack. You hear us begging for money. I hate to say begging, but pretty much we are begging for you to support volunteers who are trying to make things better for all of us. But somehow Comcast doesn't have to beg for $100 a month or $200 a month to get to mislead you with some of their programming that you don't have input in. Anybody can call here on Politics Done Right and have a platform to say what they really want to get out there. Isn't that worth it to you? Isn't that worth the small amount we're asking for? So why not call 713-526-5738, extension number 1, and say, I want to support that which supports me. $5 a month, can you do that? A coffee a month that you're likely not to miss? Maybe $10 a month, $15 a month, whatever you can. $120 for the Politics Done Right t-shirt with the KPFT logo. Maybe $25 a month for a brick with an insignia that you want. Maybe $50 a month for a 4x8 brick. Look, it's worth it. Or go to kpft.org, kpft.org. Click that donate button. After you click that donate button, you go ahead and select Politics Done Right as a program you're supporting, and then you give us whatever you can. Folks, it is one of the reasons we have gotten this dysfunctional is that those who are invested in the dysfunction, they invest in it. I'm here in Kingwood. You know who loves Kingwood? Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz comes to Kingwood all of the times. And the support that this guy gets in Kingwood, as he screws more than half of Kingwood with the policies he supports, because he comes on stage, and I go to his functions, and some of the old Tea Party guys know me well. When I walk in there, it's a smirk. Hey, Egberto, what the hell you doing here? Because we see it. They know it too. They know the scam. But as long as it works, they keep running the scams. That's what we are here. We are here to unscam the scam, folks. Help us make this work. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. And just remember, give whatever you can. Let it be known it's in the name of politics done right. I get 0. It all goes to the station. Or go to kpft.org and hit that donate button, scroll down to Politics Done Right, and go ahead and support us. Look, it's not asking too much. Before I go to Harry and then Joe, I'm going to jump to Sandy, and then we'll go to Harry and Joe. Sandy.
Thanks, Egberto. And wow, Ted Cruz rallies. I'm impressed. You must have an iron constitution to sit through that.
I love the people more than I love Ted Cruz, so I am going to be there, my brother.
One way or another, you can get some dialogue out of that, I am sure. Do you wear your Biden 4 more years T-shirt?
Oh no, you want me to get killed, man?
Hey, folks, we don't want to get killed. Nobody wants to get killed. What we want is for you to support our efforts at Community Radio KPFT. We've been around for 54 plus years on the basis of no commercials and listener support. We've got but 2 days, today and tomorrow, left in this May fund drive. We've been a victim of weather not once, but twice. We lost half a day yesterday, where I really felt like things were going to start to take off, and oops, force majeure disagreed. A lightning flash and the power was gone. It took a long time to get that power restored. Don't want to cry about that, nor the what was it, the El Derecho or whatever that was.
El Derecho.
Derecho. Thank you. You say it so much better than I do. I say it as really rotten storm in May. We've been victimized by those two in terms of losing a good 5 or 6 days of fun drive. And it's a short drive to begin with, but enough of that recap. Let's look at the road in front of us and look at where we are. We would ideally like to get to at least 90% of the goal. 90% of the goal is 135,000. Now that's doable, but so far, as Egberto pointed out, 38 minutes through the program, we've got one pledge that came in at 2 minutes to 4 a.m. That's not this program, that I think from Hawaii this morning. Different time zone where things are possible. You know, late night, and the donate button at KPFT might have led to that. But right now, I'm asking you to support this program and KPFT and get us going here. We have a modest goal, as we do every morning, of $300. Now, this morning, I'd like to see that double and make $600 so that we can accelerate a little bit toward the finish line and get as close as we can to the overall goal. The bills will keep coming in. I can predict the future. The bills will keep coming in. We need the money to pay those bills in order to keep broadcasting. 100,000 watts ain't cheap. Freedom ain't cheap. Make your voice heard. Call 713-526-5738, hit option 1, and go to kpft.org and click donate. The 32-ounce stainless steel tumbler, which we added to the thank you gift lineup, this fund drive is available for a $120 pledge. And Egberto, I think we have our first pledge of the morning. I'm going to let you thank that person. This is KPFT 713-526-5738. Come on, let's get going here. Go for it.
I want to give thank you very much, Sandy. I want to give a humongous thank you to a new member, and that is Billy Billy, and initial I for the last name. I want to thank you so kindly for supporting KPFT via Politics Done Right. That that solid donation will be a godsend, my dear friend and new member of the program. We cannot do this without you. So I want to thank you from the depths of my heart. Thank you so kindly. Let's go to Harry and then Joe. Come on in, Harry. And by the way, I'm limiting to about 2 minutes or so, Harry and Joe, because we have to fundraise and we're really behind. Come on in, brother, my dear brother,
Yeah, I understand.
Harry.
I understand you, brother. You got to fundraise. When I called back in yesterday, and I said Trump is a divider, not a uniter, I will add to this. I will say that Trump unites the corporate wealthy against the non-wealthy. That is what he does. And I like the Mayor of Politics Done Right's food analogy with the diabetes comments. Trump, he's absolutely right. Trump is junk food politics. And as you were talking about Ted Cruz is junk food politics. Why would you vote for a man who went off to Cancun when the ERCOT grid was falling apart a few years ago? I think it was 2021 in February with the Texas freeze. Why would you continue to vote for that? That's just idiotic and just dumb. He doesn't care about you. Why would you vote for Donald Trump, who, unless you are a millionaire or a billionaire, then why would you vote for a man who is not going to help the average American's welfare get any better? It just makes no sense at all that he would, that.
Harry, can I answer that? Can I answer that? Look, I put it simply. I mean, people get mad at me when I say we need to take the blame. All right, but when I go out to certain places, when somebody tells me they've never seen a progressive before, because they look at us as if we are some crazy, they've made a caricature of us, right? And because they've made a caricature of us, whenever they see us, there's already a wall there. What we have to do, first of all, is atone for that for leaving that vacuum. So don't expect people to come to you with open arms when you approach them. That's why you see the way I talk to my right-wing brothers and sisters. They cuss me out a bunch, and I sit down and I listen. And the reason why is they are talking based on what they have heard about who we are. So therefore, I understand that, and I make sure in that's where I keep my calm from, because I understand that I have already been defined to them. How can I get around that? Redefine. And it's not going to happen in a day. It's not going to happen in an election cycle. It's not going to happen in 5 years. It took us, the neglect took decades. And that's where we got to go back. Harry, wrap up with 10 seconds so I can get to Joe.
When you were commenting about the Jews will not replace us, what happened in Charlottesville? That was just about demographic change and the right wing people stimulate the rights people on the right with those comments, and it came out of Germany
right
during when Hitler was in power.
The Hitler days. I remember that.
Yeah.
All right,
exactly.
Harry, we'll talk. Harry, we talk tomorrow. We'll talk tomorrow, brother. I appreciate you, brother. Okay. All right, let's go ahead to Joe. Come on in, Joe.
Hey, good morning, Alberto.
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
There was a caller yesterday named Matthew, and he was feeling kind of down. I think he has a past that he's trying to escape from. And I wanted to say to Matthew that one of the best things about the United States is the fact that here education washes away the sins of the past. Right. So if you've got out of incarceration, the best thing you can do is educate yourself and get some credentials. Right. Go to go to a trade school, go to a community college, and get a degree, get a little 2-year degree, get a welding degree, get an process tech or instrumentation degree, get a degree that you can use, and put some distance between, what happened in the past and your future, right? Because education has fallen so far in this country. I say a lot of things on this show, and then the calls trickle back in sometimes, and people are like, the things they say. I blame the education system for a lot of the ignorance that people have, and it's not their fault. They just need to learn. But anyway, Matthew, I would urge you to get education, man, and put some distance between now and then, and very soon I think you'll find yourself with a good job, with a good company, with a great salary, with a great benefits and pension and retirement, and things will be looking up. And you will easily jump into 6 figures and beyond. And then one day you will probably be like me, calling these commies on the freaking air, complaining about big government and high taxes. Once the taxes are like
Joe,
$40,000, $60,000 a year, you'll be calling
Joe,
in.
can I give you kudos? Joe, may I give you kudos?
Sure, man.
That was some damn good advice. Okay, there are certain things that our brother who called in with that issue will have to jump through a few other hoops. But that couldn't be any better advice right there, brother. Thank you so kindly. That
You're
was
welcome.
a positive
And
affirmation, sir. Thank you, Joe. Have a great day, Joe. All right, let's go to Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Yeah, it hasn't been played on the air too much. MSNBC didn't play it at all, and neither did CNN or any of the other 9 very left-wing news stations. Trump had a rally meeting in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
How many people showed up for that?
Okay, let me tell you. According to New York officials, 1,000. According to some other Trump officials, over 5,000. So it wasn't a lot of people. And I have people on the ground. When I say people on the ground, I mean friends in Brooklyn, Bronx, etc. And I asked a couple of questions, and it was sort of an affair. CNN had to look hard for somebody that was actually classified as MAGA to speak. But most of the people out there were kind of there to just see the spectacle. So that is from on the ground reporting.
Okay. We have some friends that live in Flushing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You know where that's at, right? You know where Flushing is?
Yeah, I know. I don't know where it's at because I'm not a New Yorker, but I've heard about the place.
Okay. Well, it's Chinatown. Okay. Now, we've talked to them, and about 80% of them are going to vote for Trump.
Okay.
Okay. And this was about the same thing that happened in the last election.
Mm-hmm.
Biden would show up in a private plane in Iowa, and there would be 12 people showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Trump shows up in his plane, and there's 20,000. How did he win? The people that are watching this, they don't understand how he got more popular vote than Trump did.
Let me tell you about correlation. Let me tell you about correlation, okay? Correlate anybody who thinks the amount of people that show up to a rally correlates to the amount of people that go vote. That is a serious that is not really how it works, okay? There are a lot of people that show up and watch reality TV that will never go vote in their life. Let me tell you something about the polls that came out, right? What's his name? Nate Kahn, who is one of the pollsters. He decided to look at all the polls that are being run right now. And right now, all these polls that are being run are showing a dead heat in the election. And then he said what he did is take the crosstabs of those polls to find out these people that are polling, how often and when do they vote? And it turns out that the polls that are doing right now, the folks that are choosing Trump in these polls are actually light voters. Light voters meaning they often don't vote, and many of them didn't even vote in a Trump election. While the people that voted for Biden were the same people that voted in 2020. What that says is, and for me, it's a danger, and let me tell you why it's a danger. Because that says that Biden could actually win by a larger margin than the polls would suggest, and that's going to give more fodder to this thing about election stealing. The funny thing about it, Brian, is all the people convicted of election fraud over the last two election cycles have mostly been Trump voters. I mean, so what I'm saying is we have to correlate reality with what a lot of these phonies are putting on the news, the part of the news media that you hear. And that's why myself, first of all, love having you here. And that's why I'm glad that you're here so that you can put whatever I say against other, other sources of information and fact sources. But Brian, I gotta go do some more pitching. Can you close her up for me real quick?
No, everybody give in some money. It's a free society. You should give up your
Thank
money
you.
to talk. All right,
Hey, Brian,
have a good day.
I appreciate you, Brian. Appreciate you. You have a great day, brother. Let's see. Billy Allison says no one doubts Trump has supporters. They've successfully convinced people that the numbers of the last elections are wrong, despite GOP officials confirming the numbers. Very sad. Yeah, I mean, and again, all of this comes, Billy, from a lot of the stuff that I say where it's leaving vacuums, right? If you leave a vacuum out there, in other words, if you ignore folks and say, they're foolish for believing that, you create a vacuum if you're not there refuting all the misinformation, because these people are relentless. They are relentless in misinforming. So we have to be relentless in informing. And to do that, we have to be here. And how do we stay here? By you supporting us, folks. And this is serious stuff. This is serious stuff. By the way, Billy is giving Matthew some other advice. Join a union, she says. Thank you for that advice, Billy. I'm just kind of scrolling down. Welcome aboard as well, Eric Hayes. Look, we have a lot of work to do. We don't have time to sit down and worry about, are we going to get a fascist state? Is America going to turn fascist, dictatorial? I could say categorically, no. Have we been here before? Yes. You had the Red Scare back in the 50s with what's his name? McCarthyism, and people felt this same kind of grit in their gut. Is America going down the drain? Look, it could go down the drain like every other empire has. Like every other empire has, if you don't learn your lessons from the failure of all the other empires, right? So we have to invest in it. And it takes work. And it takes volunteers. And it takes all of this, folks, to get the job done. So please give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1. We have one wonderful contribution from Billy. Thank you so kindly, Billy I. We couldn't do this without you at all. And I ask more of you to please call now. I'm going to be, we have about, we're going to go till 20 after or so. Look, we can do this. We can, Sandy said, let's bring in $600 for this show. I said, why not? Why do that? We're missing $30,000. Why don't we just go for $1,000 this show? Why can't we do that? I mean, we could if 10 people called in right now and go for the $10 a month deal, or mix of that with the $5 a month, we could do it. And you know what, folks, you don't even feel that. And we give you a good program. We give you a research program. Even things that we don't have the time to cover in 1 hour, we give you a newsletter that you can go off and read the other stuff, listen to the videos. I do 3 to 4 videos a day, with important outtakes from mainstream media, sometimes from ad hoc newspapers, etc., that some of us may not be reading, etc. So we are doing the work. We are doing the work. Please consider being a part of the family. Let's get to Sandy.
Thank you, Egberto. Yeah, folks, we got one donation in, and I want to thank Billy. That was a really good pledge to get things started this morning. But we do have a lot of work. We've reached the $120,000 plateau. We stand at $120,025 through 787 distinct donations. 787 times, someone out there has decided, KPFT, you're worth it. Here's a few bucks. Keep going. Now, if you haven't made that decision yet, you're thinking about it, don't hesitate. This is your time. Jump right in. A $120 pledge will get you a Caroline Street coffee cup and a 1-pound bag of Colombian Supremo beans that you can grind up, brew up, make it nice and hot, pour in that thermos, and keep it that way as you take it through your day, maybe around the office, maybe in your car, maybe around the house, or just the backyard in the morning as you watch the sun come up. 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. A $100 donation gets you a Politics Done Right t-shirt. Hey, wear it and show your support, but we do have a ways to go, and we can't do it for you. This is something you have to do on your own. Make that call. That makes a difference. Again, the number to donate, 713-526-5738. Hit option 1 or go to kpft.org and click the donate button. We take PayPal. We take all major forms of credit cards. You can send a check in later. You can break it up into monthly payments. You can become a sustainer. Easiest way to make sure that you're funding KPFT even when you're not even thinking about it. $5 or $10 a month, or maybe $25 a month if you can do it. Get a brick, a 4x8 brick, or $50 a month. Get an 8x8 brick. On those bricks you can carve your inscription, and they'll be laid down in our front courtyard in the brick garden, which is going to be growing very soon. We're going to be doubling the size based on the orders for bricks that have already come in, many of which we've received. We're waiting on a few more, and then wham, the front yard will be transformed again, and more of that courtyard area will be emblazoned with those memory bricks from our listeners who insist KPFT must survive. If you feel that way, please make that call. 713-526-5738 and be supporter number 788 in this drive. Egberto, back to you.
Thank you so kindly, Sandy. It would be great if we could get 12 more callers to make it, what would that make it? 800, I believe. Yeah, if we could get 13 more calls with support, calls or donations over. Hey, would it be magical if we did that in the next 20 minutes? It would be great. Why don't you guys surprise the holy you-know-what out of all of us here? And jump over to the web, go to kpft.org, hit that donate button, and contribute whatever you can, however money you can, whatever you can. One time, several times, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, we are at the top of the hour. So it's time for me to say this is KPFT Houston. The ID has been given at the top of the hour. Anyway, folks, before we really need your support. So please go ahead and call in now. 713-526-5738, extension number 1 to donate, or go to kpft.org. I'm going to play a quick 4-minute video here that cover something that Governor Walz had to say as soon as my mouse start working, that is. I'm going to play that video. Let's go to that right this very minute, and then those on air can see it as well. Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota nails it. First of all, he tackles exactly what President Biden has done. He also points out that he lives in an area surrounded by missing decency. I want you to listen to how he expressed that, and let's take it on the other side.
When Donald Trump was president, governors like myself were in Hunger Game battles with other governors to get ventilators to keep our people alive because he did nothing. The issue is going to be competency. When Joe Biden comes to Minnesota, he brings jobs, money, investments, and a positive message. When Donald Trump comes, it's grievances and revenge. So I think the issues will start to clarify themselves. Voters are concerned this time of year. School's about out. They're worrying about summer. But we're starting to see prices start to moderate. We're seeing inflationary pressures go down. And then we can start to focus on those real issues that impact folks. So I think the message is going to be very personal. An ability to deliver this. That's why I'm out there. And then I think that contrast becomes a binary choice as we get closer to November. And they're going to see that it is simply not worth it to go back to what we saw under a Trump administration.
If the president called you and said, Governor, what's the one thing you think I need to hit home and hit hard more than anything to help my reelection chances, what would it be? What do you think he should do that he's not doing?
Yeah, I think it's holistic. I do think we're making the case around reproductive freedoms. I think we're making the case around election and protection reforms. But I think I saw the polling this week that where Americans, a majority, think we're in recession. We're not. We have the strongest economy in the world. I think we have to do a better job, and I think the president's doing all he can. And this is where folks like myself can help. Minnesota has historically low unemployment rates. Minnesota has wages rising. Minnesota is seeing investments in chip manufacturing, in construction jobs. We need to keep pounding that message home.
I want to ask about something that the nominee for your party back in 2016, Hillary Clinton, told the New York Times, Lisa Lair and Elizabeth Diaz for their new book. And this is on the issue of abortion. Mrs. Clinton said Democrats neglected abortion rights from the ballot box to Congress to the Supreme Court. Our side was complacent and kind of taking it for granted and thinking it would never go away. Do you agree with that?
I don't think she's totally wrong. Look, I ran in a conservative district, second Democrat since 1892 when I won a seat in Congress, and I was fully supportive of abortion rights. And this is back in 2005, 2006. That was considered risky by a lot of people in our party. I think what the former secretary is getting at is that we maybe didn't understand the threat that was coming, that we thought that Roe was going to protect us. I think there were a lot of us, myself included, didn't believe that. I think that's why states like Minnesota were firewalling things up. We're an island of decency out here. It's Handmaid's Tale out here of the states surrounding me, from the Dakotas to Iowa, forcing women into these terrible situations. So no, I don't totally disagree with her. I think the difference is now, since the fall of Roe, orchestrated by Donald Trump and his Supreme Court, that we are ready. And women are ready, men are ready. And those who think that this is just a distracting issue, this is a fundamental issue of personal freedoms and personal bodily autonomy. So she's not wrong. I think the difference is now is we will not be flat-footed, and I don't think we have been for the last 2 years.
Governor Tim Walz nails it. Yes, Minnesota is currently in an island, what he calls an island of indecency. A group of folks that want to control women, a group of folks that want to find policies that materially affects people in the wrong ways. He nails it. And yes, as long as the surrogates for the president go out and fight for the values that he stands for, all will be okay. And that's what I say. There's no reason for fear. Zero reason for fear. I don't care what side you're on. There's no reason for fear. If we just itemize what the values are and make sure that the values are cared for, the right people will win elections. Folks, give us a call, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Hey, I don't have the number on the screen. I better put it on the screen. I just put it on the screen. 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org, select the donate button. After you select the donate button, be sure to scroll down to Politics Done Right, and then give us whatever you can. There is so many options that we have. I don't know if Sandy has some additional special options or not. So let me throw it to Sandy just to see if there are things that I don't know about that's there for you. Sandy?
Well, there are things you don't know about, Egberto. That is true. And there are things I don't know about, too. And our listeners, you've yet to be informed. This is a good reason to keep KPFT on. Maybe we'll learn about it. If we're up and running, as we've been for 54 years, that comes from listener support. So I'm getting back to the point. We've had one pledge this morning from Billy. Thank you, Billy. We've got about 14 minutes left. Come on. We need to hear from you. This is the last Wednesday of this drive. We're going to bring it down tomorrow. We're hoping that we'll have enough money, and taking the risk of just shutting it down and going forward being a bit short. We're all a little weary here of asking you for money, asking you to take action, and you may be feeling that same thing on the other side. Would you quit asking? Well, if we quit asking and you don't do it, KPFT will continue to offer you nothing but the crackle of static, as you heard when the power went out. We need the money to pay the bills. It's really simple. We have one paid employee. That's it. One full-time employee. That's it. You need to have that according to the FCC. And everybody else is pretty much volunteering or getting literally just getting gas money to commute to and from daily, if that's what they're doing to supply the voice behind the microphone. And that's not in every case. That's in very few cases. Our board ops, etc., essential personnel to keep our station running. It's a very minimal budget. It needs your support. We can't do this without you. We have a proud tradition of 54 years in Houston. We want to make it 54 more. Help us to get there. 713-526-5738. Pick up on the mug or the t-shirt. Pick up on the tumbler. Pick up on the concert tickets that are still left. Pick up on all the swag that we have to your heart's content as a thank you. But make sure that you pick up on independent media, KPFT in Houston, Texas, with your call. Again, it's just today and tomorrow. If you've waited to the second to last day, or the penultimate day, if you will, today, you've succeeded. If you wanted to donate to Politics Done Right and you were waiting to the last 12 minutes, you've succeeded. Please take action. Join Billy. And Gary and Gia, who called in earlier this morning, well, not quite at 4 a.m., and made a donation as well. Come on. Let's get this going. Let's get this puppy funded, and then we won't be back asking you again until August. 713-526-5738 or kpft.org and a click of the donate button. We need to hear from you. I really need to hear from you now. Egberto, that's about what I don't know and what you don't know as to who's going to take that step. But let's hope it's a bunch of people.
Well, thank you very much, Sandy.
Become a sustainer. $10 a month. Become a sustainer. But do take that step. Egberto, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Look, in the chat, we have Eric Hayes. Thank you for being here. Billy Allison Irwin in the chat. Thank you for being here. We also have Ken F, who says, Egberto, these election antics, gun violence and violence in general, I keep getting this tune in my head. Is it Welcome to America by Childish Gambino, aka Don Glover? Anyway, folks, so welcome aboard Ken F as well. Welcome aboard Texas Blue Bonnet. Texas Blue Bonnet actually says important, and I want to spin up on what she says. She says, wish I had more cash to play with Egberto. Will donate the next fundraiser. All right. One of the things is we keep dependent on the same people who step up and support the program. And this is just look, I mean, I know sometimes it takes some effort. It's easy to sit back and just listen to something and get the info. I mean, I get it. I get it. I think yours truly have been guilty of that before. And and now doing this, I see a whole lot brighter. It's like, oh, I better call now. I better do my part. I get a lot of newsletters, etc. And for the longest time, I was enjoying them. And finally, as I did a whole lot more of this, I said, you know what? The only way we survive in this space, because the mainstream media space is not our space. The mainstream radio stations are not the space where you foment innovation and where things happen. It's behind the scenes, all those individuals that are working. And that's why, with my spare dollars, as far as what the amount I budget for supporting what I call the charitable organizations, the political organizations, etc., I split it out. Newsletter number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I go to Substack and do that for brother Tom Hartman and brother. There are a couple of brothers here in town. I make sure and support the rags like Daily Coast and Common Dreams. I do my little part here for KPFT and all these other things that need. Good morning, Paul Fleming from Atlanta, Georgia. And do all these different supporting, doing a little bit for a whole lot. So I'm talking personally now. Personally, I do $5 here, $10 here, 25 here, 15 here, 10 here to different organizations, and I give based on what I think my relative support level should be there. At KPFT, I do $10 a month plus. I do the program. I put a lot of hours into KPFT. That's all I can say. And the reason why, again, is because we know the value and we know what we have to do. So what we're asking others to do is not necessarily go ahead and match what everybody else is doing, but to just step up and do that little bit more. Again, we are not wasting your dollars. I am definitely not wasting your dollars. This stuff is done all, and Sandy's not wasting your dollars. Howard was up last night trying to keep this damn thing on air. We don't have a whole slew of engineers with trucks, etc., to move on and do other things. Wow. My heart's touched. Billy gave another contribution, another good contribution. Billy, my heart's touched. Thank you so kindly. I so appreciate that. But here's the other thing. Let's not leave it all up to Billy, who actually said in the chat they've given before. So this is just recycling again, that it comes up as new because, again, it's a new version of her, I guess, the card or whatever. Let's not hold it to just the people that keep giving the support. Let's be a part of this, folks. And a little bit, $5 a month to get your knowledge base fed, not only with politics, not only with news, not only with opinion, but you getting a platform. Look at what we did today. Joe called in he got a platform to speak to Matthew, who called in yesterday. Matthew represents a whole bunch of folks who have gone through the system. And Joe has gone through and was able to provide info, support to show Matthew that other people care in a society that almost cares about no one. And think about what we stand for, guys. Have you ever seen that on how many stations do you see the population at large come into that station and support the population at large? Isn't that worth supporting? Can that happen with Comcast when you're paying $100 a month or $200 a month? And we're asking you for $5 to be really community, what community radio is about. You heard today we only had, I think, 4 callers. And ironically, 2 of them are on the left and 2 of them are on the right. And guess what? We kind of like each other, man. Yeah, we're going to be fighting over getting stuff out to get the right people elected, but that's where it starts. Right? Isn't that worth supporting? We are, instead of supporting us going at everybody's throats, even as we disagree, isn't it worth supporting a platform that induces that? 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Contribute whatever you can. 713-526-5738. Please do it in the name of Politics and Right, though, so that we can tag appropriately. But also, folks, go to kpft.org, hit that donate button. After you hit that donate button, scroll down to Politics and Right and give whatever you can. We're at 17 after, and I got to get out of here in 3, so I want to pass it to Sandy and then to our great geniuses in the studios who really we appreciate continuing to make this stuff happen. Sandy.
Thank you. And I see Billy picked up on one of those memory bricks. Billy, thank you. You donated twice, as Egberto said, and you stand alone to support this program. I cannot believe that the other people listening, that enjoy, that partake, that have not given this drive or in the last year have not given now. Come on. Come on, join in. Community means all of us. Do your part, only your part. You decide what that is. 713-526-5738. Thank you, Egberto.
All right, let's go to the studio because, our folks in there really keep this stuff going. Howard.
Yes, sir. I am right here. You were talking about me being at the transmitter last night. Yes, I was out there. I didn't get to sleep until after 11, so I'm kind of tired this morning. But I was just thinking, this is where your money goes. I go to the transmitter in the middle of the night and get this thing fixed. This is where your money goes. I mean, yes, I am the only paid employee, full-time employee, because we need one. And somehow I managed to draw that black bean. I'm not sure why. But, I enjoy the job and I enjoy the people that I work with. The people that I work with, I've never seen such a more devoted people in my entire life. And I worked for the big boys. I worked for iHeart for 21 years over at Sunny. And they weren't even that devoted over there. They were getting some pretty good salaries over there, but it's like, well, okay, it's a job. Well, here, it's a career. This is what your money goes to. This is who you are supporting. You're supporting Egberto Willies, who gets up at 4 o'clock every morning, along with me every morning, to prepare a show for you. Susan Darrow comes in. She has curated her music to your tastes. What other radio station does that? I can tell you, not one in town, only this one. Ronnie and Tom, a curated off-the-rails radio experience, and fun, too, fun to listen to. We pick on Ronnie a great deal, but, Ronnie loves it. He's a volunteer. He gets no money from this. Folks, this is what your dollar goes to. Jack comes in every morning. He beats me here. 5:20, this man is out of bed and down here getting the tin cans and string hooked up for Egberto's show. Stays through Utah to answer phones. Yeah, he gets a little bit of a stipend, but it isn't nearly what he's worth. The man is worth his weight in gold, and we're paying him his weight in maybe aluminum foil. But this is what your money goes to. 713-526-5738. Hit number 1, make a donation, pick up a brick, get one of those, and I got one of those tumblers. Those things are beautiful. It's sitting upstairs. I was going to put it here in the control room for all the folks to see, and Robin said, well, they might take it. I went, nah, okay, I'll put it back upstairs. But this thing is beautiful. You are going to love this thing. 713-526-5738. And I'm going to throw it to Jack here. Jack, what you got, man?
Well, I've noticed that the right counters the rhetoric from the left with the rhetoric from the left.
Oh, so it's kind of a circle that it goes in. Okay, well, we're going to join Democracy Now! in progress as soon as Egberto gives me the wrap sign. So go ahead and wrap it up, Egberto.
Thank you, everybody. Love you all. Callers, listeners, donors, supporters, everybody. Go to politicsandright.com/newsletter for what we didn't cover on the show. Go to kpft.org. Hit that donate button. Scroll down to Politics and Right and go ahead and support us however you can. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics and Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
And he is. And Democracy Now! Is in. We joined Democracy Now! In progress.